Welcome to the Living Room Vibe podcast. I'm your host, Danny Lourdes, creating a space where real people have raw conversations. Make yourself at home and let's get into it. Today, I am so excited because I have a very special guest with me. I'm sitting here with someone who knows all my secrets, has wiped my tears, celebrated my wins, and loves me unconditionally. Someone who has been my rock, my inspiration, and honestly, one of my best friends in the world, my beautiful, incredible mom, Shella. Mom, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
So for those who don't know, my mom is this incredible force of nature who has raised 5 kids on her own, navigated incredible challenges in life, and did it all with grace and faith as her foundation. She's about to retire this year and start a whole new chapter of life with my bomb.com family. Mom, how are you feeling today?
Today I'm feeling achy, emotional, happy, and overall great.
Good. So today we're going to have a heart-to-heart about something that's universal but often not discussed openly enough, and that's how we adapt to our bodies changing as we age and how we redefine strength as our physical abilities shift. It's like we're driving a car and our whole lives, but suddenly it's hard to handle. It's handling differently. The engine needs more maintenance, and we have to learn new ways to keep it running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, you've always been so active and independent, and you've recently had some health challenges that has affected your mobility. If you're comfortable sharing, can you talk a little bit about when you first noticed these changes and how that felt for you?
Yeah, sure. I believe at 60 I was fabulous. No aches, no pains. I was walking close to 3 miles a day on my lunch hour, and very active physically, and loved every moment of being able to do things on my own. And I do believe around 63 is when I started feeling crippling pain in my joints. Started in my knees first, then it went from my knees to my hips, and then my right shoulder. And now I am dealing with the lumbar 5 herniation of one of my discs and lack of mobility in my left leg and weakness.
So experiencing these changes, what has that felt like for you?
It's been very emotional. I'm going from very independent, moving things around in the house, cleaning like, I love to clean. So moving furniture and dusting in corners and that kind of thing. I can no longer do that. I have fear of falling. I have not able to step up on a step stool to get something. I'm afraid I might lose my balance and fall. And depression has set in. It was there before with the loss of a child, but it has definitely come back now because I feel like I'm losing a bit of myself.
Yeah. So how has your perception of yourself changed? You just kind of talked about it a little bit, but how has your perception of yourself changed when, since your body started to be limited with these activities that you're so used to easily doing?
Can you repeat that again? Because one of the things that I'm suffering with is memory. Like, I'm not going to say it's Alzheimer's. But
no, we're not putting that in the air. Your memory ain't that bad.
Okay, so
but
processing sometimes can be difficult when you're dealing with depression.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just asking, how did your perception of yourself change when your body started to show signs of these of limitations for activities that you're so used to doing easily?
It was very hard for me to say that I am now handicapped. And the limitations affect me because I have been so vibrantly independent all my life that now I'm slowing down. The things that I dreamed about doing once I get old has changed. So I'm limited myself. There are things I still want to do, and now I'm not sure if I will be able to, depending on my outcome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. There's this quote that we hear often that says, you know, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is just ask for help, right?
Yes.
So how true has that been for you?
No. I am the person that defines the word hard when it comes to asking for help. It is difficult for me because I've been running the show for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I have a limited patience when it comes to getting things done. So I will automatically, even if I did ask you, if you took too long, if I feel like you're disinterested, if I pick up on that, and maybe you put me off for a few days, I'm already making plans to get it done through another way, Vice or myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very hard.
Yeah, especially when you've been independent, you know, your whole life. You know, you raised us by yourself, things like that. So I think it definitely requires a mental shift, you know, having to ask for help and allowing people to help you and serve you in ways that you're used to doing for yourself.
I found myself getting sadder as I got more in tune with the fact that my health is compromised.
Yeah.
And it affected my confidence. And you know, I realized it became harder for me to get out and do things. And it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that there's this grieving process that happens, right, when your body starts to change. Did you experience that? And if you have experienced that, how do you work through those feelings?
Since I've been an empty nester, more of my thoughts now are focused on me. So the only person that I can talk to and really let it all out is my Lord Christ, Jesus Christ. And he and I have had a lot of deep conversations in the walls of my home. The walls are protected so I can freely express things that I am dealing with, so that I don't, accommodate other illnesses for not being able to talk about it. So, my mindset is definitely affected. There are medications that I'm taking that affects that also have side effects, to the point where I refuse to take one. I spoke to the doctor and I says, I can't do this. The medication was supposed to help me with some pain and inflammation, but and it was for my depression as well. But when I took the medication and went to bed, finally pain-free, the next day I woke up and I was still wandering in the house like, why am I here, basically, because I was still under the effect. And I didn't like that. Questioning, like, what am I doing in here? Why am I walking around in my own home like I don't know what's happening? It's not a good feeling.
Yeah. Has your grieving process been similar to the grief process of losing Dion?
Oh, that was a real big thing.
In what ways have they been similar about just losing your mobility and aging compared to the grieving process that you've gone through with losing a child?
When Dion was a child that would come by the house unexpectedly, surprisingly drop in to eat, sleep, or shower, wherever he needed me for that day, which is I loved it because it was spontaneous. And it was a spontaneous joy that I could sit with him and say, oh, you staying for dinner? Oh, you need a place to sleep? Okay, it's only for 3 days, right? He was a child that brought the joy of being able to expect things like being able to stand up and cook a meal, being able to go to the backyard and he'll be like questioning about, Mom, what is this? When I got sick, the same patterns along that was not being able to do the things I used to do. So when he's no longer here, I miss those visits and those talks and all the mom jokes he had. I don't get those anymore. So it's a process of sadness. Being not able to do the things that I usually do physically is a process of sadness. I've had to change, for instance, my wardrobe. I was one of those business suit, pin skirt, heel adorned person at my job, and now I'm barely trying to get dressed with something loose fitting, something that's not grinding,
some sneakers
and not trying to look fugly at a professional office. So it's
not fugly.
Well, my mindset is that I don't want to get dressed to go anywhere, but I know I have to get out the house, and it's been a fight sometimes. Some of the pain that I deal with, it limits me to even getting dressed. So the bigger, the baggier things are, the easier it is for me to get into and out of them without hurting myself.
So going back to the grieving process, they say the 5 stages of grief, anger and, denial, all that stuff. Have you felt any of those things with aging and things that you've been experiencing physically?
Yes. I think frustration, because in my mind, when I'm not feeling the pain, I feel like I'm 35. And if I'm feeling good that day, I try to celebrate it. I'm like out in the yard. I try to mow. I try to pull a weed.
Do too much?
Do too much, yes. I go back to my normal self, trying to make things happen in the house. And then let's just say something happens and I say, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Because that pain comes back immediately and reminds me that now you have tweaked something, go sit down.
I know our bodies will definitely, what they say, if you don't take a nap or sit down somewhere, your body gonna take it for you. Make you rest.
Yes. That is the right in your face message that you are getting old. There are things you no longer can do and that you need help. And again, the hardest thing for me to do is ask for that help. So, yeah.
Many people, especially women, tie their identity to what they can do and how they can care for others. Did your sense of self change when your physical abilities began to change?
Yes. I'm a person that serves. If I see a need, I take care of it. Sometimes it's spontaneous where you don't even know I'm coming with something that I baked or something that I cooked or dropping off a meal or just spending time. And now I need to spend time with myself, learning about things that I can no longer do. I used to love to just cook a meal. I'm not used to cooking for one person, so I'm learning now to try to cook a meal just for myself. If I overdo it, then it's too much food. Then I try to find a family to drop this food off to. But at this time, I can only stand so long at the stove, so I don't do a lot of cooking anymore. And that affects me. And there are times where I want to cook and invite people over. And now with the present condition, I'm tired. So now I don't have the time to even give to that person.
The energy.
Correct. And in my heart, it's like, oh, I want to have you guys over. And then like, when are you going to be able to do that? Because you got to take a nap. You still working 8 hours. You need to take care of yourself. And yes.
Yeah. I think, just I think the gender roles of the world, and I think especially in the era that you grew up in, just women, they cook, they clean, they take care of their house, they take care of their families, they work, do all the things. They're the go-to person. And so I do see how not being able to do those things, can really mess with how you feel about yourself, with your mindset, with, feeling like your worth has dropped somehow. So I know you're still kind of like in the middle of it.
Yes.
Of trying to figure out your thoughts and mindset and figuring out the whole aging process. Because, you getting in there, but you ain't old yet, right?
Right.
But so far, what strategies have you developed to try to maintain your independence while still acknowledging your new limitations?
Not giving up. The strategies is that if there's something going on, make every effort to attend activities. Being with others can go a long way, just feeling normal because you're able to be out to do something. It helps alleviate the feelings of sadness and loneliness. Sometimes the happiness that affects you allows you to boost your energy so that you can share in helping, even at an event, if it's no more than passing out napkins. Feeling that you're needed and doing activities that are meaningful. So what's the word? Tangible strategies have you done? Like, do you use a walker? Do you have a wheelchair? Do you, what ways have you, incorporated to try to keep your independence while still acknowledging those limitations? Okay, so I have a walker. I have actually two. And one is at home in the house and one is at work. One is in the car, and the one in the car is basically there in case I get to work after a doctor's appointment late and can't find parking close by. If I have to walk a block or two, then that walker comes out of the car and studies me to get into the job. Oh, okay. Yeah. There are posture pillows that I have in my desk chair at work and at home. I have 3 or 4 of them so that I can not lose one and have to travel with one every time I want to move around. So there's one in my living room, there's a couple in my bed, there's one in my desk chair, and one in the car that I use for driving. I know one of the strategies that you've also kind of implemented is physical therapy. Physical therapy, yes. The first 6 weeks of physical therapy was not pretty. I was in so much pain, I didn't want them touching me. I did not want to acquire any new pain or further discomfort. So it was a battle. Then when I finally got to start seeing some improvement, I wanted to start working on that one individual body part, and they would want me to move to some other exercise new. And and that transition was hard for me. Then I remember trying to get back to work. I was out probably like 3 months. When it was time to go back, I went back after that set of physical therapy. It did not help me. And so when I return work date came, I was only there 3 hours and had to go home and did not return back again until 30 days later. Because I ended up, by that time, I had changed physical therapy with a doctor, and I spoke of, and he says, well, I want you to go here. He goes, when you go here, I want you to see one person. And he gave me that name. I saw that person, and within the first hour, there was a 100% difference in my posture. Within the first hour. And I've been seeing him since, and now I'm back to work. I can move around more freely without too much mental limitation, because that was the first step. And then physically, I can kind of monitor myself, my body, because I've been doing these exercises that he gave me, and it helps me with my mobility.
Physical therapy, I feel like, is it's almost like when you have like those pains in your body and you're like, you just need to kind of rub it out, massage it out, and it's almost like it hurts, but it hurts so good.
Yes. That is right.
Yeah, it's one of those things, a necessary evil at times. You know, they say that adversity reveals character. What have these physical challenges that you've been going through taught you about yourself that you feel like you might not have discovered otherwise?
That I'm a very resilient person. Even when I feel like giving up, something else kicks in and said, no, you're not. I've had to morph into a different realm just waking up.
Yeah.
And once my feet are on the floor, then I'm in the fight. And I believe that the conversations about some of these things can help build you up or limit you and tear you down. So once I get into the forming of healing something, and if I know I have a friend who's dealing with the same thing, and I get on the phone and be like, hey, this, how's your back feeling today? This is what worked for me. Try it and let me know. Call me back. So networking allows me to kind of have some of my power back, and taking charge in my rehabilitation. But it's a continual thing, something you just can't do it for like 2 or 3 days and give up. You have to continue with it. It's like a life change.
Yeah, being resilient, that's the whole definition of it. It's continuing to fight, continuing to push through. And I feel like that's something, honestly, that you've kind of, a character trait that I feel like you've honestly had your whole life. Given all the other things that you've gone through just in life, which could be a whole nother episode if you're ever willing to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be a whole nother episode down the line. But how would you define strength now versus when you were younger? Would it be the same? Is it different?
When I was younger, the strength I was developing was just amongst the siblings. Being one of 8, you had to be the best. You had to be the best if you wanted your brothers to give you time. They were very outside and very competitive. And when we played outside, if you weren't good as they were, then you were left out. So I was quite the tomboy growing up because I wanted to prove I was good. So my brothers would put me on their team, pick me to play on their side and run the ball, or even in a fight, a good fight, I'm going to get my sister. Now, the strength is has, I think, morphed into my adulthood as I'm a team player. I don't quit and I don't give up. And when times are really, really rough and bad, you summon somewhat that strength and say, okay, remember when this happened? What did you do? One of the things that stuck out to me was one time my brother Glenn and I were playing Tarzan and Jane. And we used to have this huge tree in the front yard. Mm-hmm. My dad tied a swing onto the tree. And I think it broke. One side of it broke. So my brother goes and grabs this huge chain. I think the chain was big enough to maybe pull, like when you want to pull a car or a boat or something.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty thick.
Yeah. And he had managed to climb the tree, get the chain over the limb, and attach it to the swing. Mm-hmm. But it didn't stay. So he gets on it, does his thing, and he's swinging. He's standing on the swing, holding on to the chain and the rope on the other side, and he is swinging like crazy back and forth, and then until he jumps and does his Tarzan thing. So then it was my turn, and so I got up on the tree, got up on the swing, and I got one swing forward, one swing back, and as I was heading to the forward swing, second forward swing, the chain snapped, broke, or came unrattled from the arm of the tree, and I fell. When I fell and hit the ground, I was under the chain. The chain came down and whoop right in my chest. And it knocked the air out of me.
I can imagine.
The fall on my back knocked the air out of me, and the chain knocked the air out of me. And by the time, so my brother's leaning over me like literally nose to nose saying, "You all right? You all right?" Mm-hmm. And I looked at him, but I couldn't speak, right? And he said, I tried to talk and I couldn't. And he said, "You all right?" And he smacked me in the face and ran off. And that right there.
Oh my gosh.
That strength to want to run and catch him is what I interpret now, and while I'm crippling and aching and mm-hmm. Yes, because I want to do something about it, and that's not giving up.
That's crazy. I don't. Back in the day, I think even in my day, I think I feel like, how do we survive as children? Because we was out here doing some dumb stuff.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of young people, mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest misconception younger people have about aging?
Oh, that they'll never get old. I myself never looked at being my mom and dad's age. I just assumed I mean, I was so happy as a kid. I was like, there's nothing else in the world that I need. Mm-hmm. Even in the worst of times, they were good times because we were all together. And you misconcept that. The only time you tap into it is when you've actually gone through something. Mm-hmm. And when you start to go through something, then you look up and say, wow, that's what mom and dad was talking about. It just comes to you. Yeah. Like it just comes to you out of like an ET moment, you know? And I was like, wow, that's what mom was saying. That's why she kept saying this. Wow. So, yeah, we don't think about it. We just live in the moment. And then until that first crick hit you.
Yeah, I'm not obviously elder yet, but I think about, I think just being close to you and being up front and center, witnessing you aging, I feel like I've thought a lot about it for myself in respect to my children. And I'm like, okay, like, I think in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get older one day. And I think I've accepted that I'll get older one day. Mm-hmm. But I think the part that I feel like I don't think about is losing my mobility. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get old one day, but until the day I die, I'm gonna still be out here in the streets. Like, I'm still gonna be able to walk. I'm still gonna be able to have my memory. Like, I don't think that those are possibilities, right? And so I'm like,
exactly.
I'm gonna get older. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm like, I think just being able to witness your aging process has been like, you know what, I might not be able to walk, or I might not have my memory, or I might not, be able to, I don't know, like Alzheimer's, I don't think runs in our family, but like that might hit me,
Right.
who knows, right? And so I think
Dementia.
it sobered me up a little bit about what aging could include and entail, like all the things. So if you could go back to your 40-year-old self and give you some advice about preparing for these years, what would you say to yourself?
That's so funny you said that, because the minute I saw my granddaughter, I wanted to share things with her that I now know that I wish my mom had said to me, so that I could prepare myself better for this aging process. And what I would say to myself is, at that time I was running regularly every day, I think 6 days a week. And I loved it. I remember the freedom in it and how toned my body was, and I wanted to run like that forever. But that stopped. That stopped as I was aging, and I realized that there are times where you need vitamins to prevent deficiencies. I wish I had been more encouraged to take vitamins. I'm not waiting until you're 50 plus. That's when I started taking them, because they were like, oh, you're old at 50.
Right.
Oh, now you gotta start taking this. I wish I'd started earlier, so that would have prevented me from having some of the things that I'm dealing with now, especially when it comes to your immune system, your bones, the way your blood flows through your body.
Yeah.
I wish that I had known more about prevention, and vitamins is a big plus in that, and eating right.
Yeah.
Our mother was a very Southern style cooker, and I've learned to cook from her, so I'm a very Southern style. The gravy made from scratch, the biscuits, butters,
All the
and
comfort food.
all the comfort foods. Yes, so I'm sure that didn't help. So yes.
So what advice would you give to someone who's just now starting to experience physical limitations due to aging?
I would, first of all, I would advise that you move more. Don't give in to the pain and sit around and lay around. To get up and push yourself past it. If it's a little kink right now, rub it out, wrap it up, and keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's one practice or habit that has helped you maintain a positive outlook, like despite your physical challenges? Like what's kept you in a positive headspace and mindset?
My faith is what I want to say, but before it was my faith, I knew that I had been delivered already from a lot of things that happened to me.
Yeah.
So my faith in God right now is the catalyst for moving forward. Before, I never got the idea of being, oh Lord, thank you so much, as soon as my feet touch the ground, waking me up in the morning. Now I'm like, Lord, thank you for waking me up. And when I put my feet on the ground, I said, thank you, Lord, there was no pain today. So I'm in tune with my faith, and just gaining strength to continue to move forward. And I feel once I've so-called blessed that moment, that I'm good for the rest of the day. And I believe that he's helped me through so much already, that I count on him now for daily relief. So
I think that's awesome that for so many years your faith has been such a cornerstone for you in helping you push past through lots of difficult things in your life, and that you continue to rely, because sometimes honestly faith can sometimes be great, when it's good. But as soon as the hard times happen, people, it's no longer a source of strength. It's so, wait a minute now, I've been praising you all this time, and, why is this, or, you get the why is this happening to me thoughts and conversations in your brain. And so I love that during even the challenging times, like I'm not saying you ain't struggled, but I know for just overall your faith hasn't wavered.
No, I was putting most of my faith in people, and I've learned over the years that you can't do that. Everybody is not going to be available to you during the good times and even the bad times. And just like we flee away from our relationship and praying relationship with God, when you'd be like, oh, that happened, so I'm not going to pray about that anymore.
Right.
People can be like, oh, she's going through that, I can't deal with that, so I'm going to step.
Right.
So that people come and go. But I've been in some really tough situations, and I understand that the only reason I'm here, being able to do this podcast with such a beautiful child of mine.
Well, thank you.
That God has been his hand in my life for a very long time, because there are situations that I've gone through where I can say truly that I should not be here. So that is the foundation. That's the cornerstone right there.
So let's talk about looking and moving forward. You're about to make a big transition into retirement.
Yes.
And moving in with me and my family.
Yes.
How are you feeling about this new chapter, and what's something that excites you the most about it?
I am feeling a lot of emotions. The one thing I don't want to do is be a burden on my family. I love you guys. I love my grandchildren. They make my heart just leap, but I don't want to be in your way or laying around, feeling like you guys have to be like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that for mom, or I got to do this for grandma. That was not my intention or idea when we first, started adventuring this conversation, like over 5 years ago. But because my intention was to come up here and just like be Ethan's new playmate. However, physically that's not possible, and I have a lot of emotions about that. But the other thing is wanting to give up my independence, and then how that looks, and I feel now it's going to be okay. It took me to go through some things to get to that point, and trusting in all the things that I've been going through to get to this point. I feel grateful that out of all my children that I have a spot and a place with one. I feel grateful that you've even taken the time to even incorporate that. Because we have our children in our as parents, we want them to grow up, to be successful and go away. And me being a single parent, I love the fact that I don't have to worry about my children.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that allowed me to feel successful as a single mom, is that you're all doing well, you're all,
Yeah.
And so being able to come up here and not be in your way is one of the things I struggle with still. But I'm excited, and I feel comfortable when I come up here. When I do come, if it wasn't for me having an 8 to 5, I wouldn't go home. You'd probably have to throw me out. And I've always felt like that. No matter when I come up here, it's amazing to me. That's a true form of love and joy. And I'm glad to be able to experience that. So
one of the things that I'm excited about in having you here is just, even though, Savannah's going to be off in college and only coming home on breaks and things, I think just the closeness that you'll have with Ethan, because I know, I've since well, going to college, I have never lived in the same city with you since that point. It's since I left home to go to college. We've never been in the same city, and now we're in two different states. And I definitely missed, having you close by, for me, just wanting to build memories with you, and then also building those memories with my kids. Going to plays and going to performances and, things like that, and just building those memories. And so I'm grateful and I'm excited that you'll have still many more years to do that with Ethan and spend that time with him and with me. I'm taking care of aging parents. It could be tough on anybody, but I feel like I feel privileged to be able to be in a space to be able to do that. I'm not saying it ain't gonna come with its challenges. I mean, but I do feel like over my time of life, I feel like I've kind of been prepared a little bit with Destiny and
Yes,
her her illness and going to school for nursing, even though I didn't finish, but going to school for nursing and then having Ethan with autism. I feel like I've been almost a little bit prepared for being the caregiver in that way.
You've been exposed, yeah.
Yeah, I've been exposed to a lot of that. So I feel, not that I'm like, oh, I'm just so ready, because who knows what it's going to look like in the future, but I do feel like I'm a little more prepared than the, person next to me because of the experiences that I've had. So
yes,
yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
So
it does encourage me to see, when you do come, how my kids light up. So, yeah.
I remember when you all were at home, or even had gone to college, but when you did come home, asking Derek and Dion and Destiny and you, which one of you guys are going to change my diapers when I get old? And
yeah, I remember that.
How the boys would run. No, ew, not me. Destiny physically no, but you surprised me. You stepped up,
I surprised myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I did not think I would be in a space, I'd be in a space like this where I am now, with the decisions and life choices that I was making at the time, So.
Yeah. I'm very proud.
Thank you.
And, yeah.
So, how do you hope to continue to grow and evolve, even as certain abilities continue to diminish over time? How do you hope to still be able to grow and evolve as a person?
It's a hard question, because independence is very important for elderly people.
Yeah.
But when you're lacking the physical part of it, it can be difficult. Because I had already seen myself like, oh, I'm retired. I'm going to be flying here. I'm going to be going there. I got my passport.
Right.
My friend and dear sister Anitra and Miriam, we've already tried to plan things. Like Miriam says, as soon as you retire, we're going to the Philippines. That's where she's from. We have plans in family over there that are excited, and I'm like, yeah. And now I'm just like, I can't even get in the car more than 2 hours. I can't get on a plane more than an hour and a half, depending on what seat I'm in. And it's difficult. As you remember, I used to get in my car on a Friday evening, my car already packed, suitcase ready, and I just drive up to Georgia.
Yep.
Spend all weekend up here, drive back.
Yep, be in work on Monday.
Yeah, one time I drove straight from your house to work.
Yeah, I remember.
So I think independence, but the thing of feeling like I can still do things. I think I love cooking. So this morning when I got up thinking I could make you guys breakfast, I didn't even realize I had slept over past breakfast. So just feeling useful.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think for elderly people in general is really to feel useful, to not feel like they're being a burden or a waste of space for people and in families and stuff. And,
Right.
And so I think that's an important way to continue to evolve yourself, is finding new ways to be useful, for the things that are important to you, to new ways to have that independence,
I want you to know that the purpose initially for me was to come up here and be all things for Ethan. Because we don't know, we can't look into the future.
Right.
I wasn't able to look into the future and see that I wasn't going to be able to do too much running after Ethan.
Right.
But I definitely...
Thank God he don't elope as much.
But that's one of the things that I want to be useful for. So conversations with him, learning the signs of, when he's like, okay, Grandma, because he'll call me. Doesn't necessarily mean I understand why he's calling me all the time, but I want to learn definitely the communication in within his own world, and looking at the process of his physical growth, because I know he's going to get taller, stronger. He's going to be wanting to run and do things, and I'm going to be like, can you put this latch on? I want to latch him on so that if he tries to take off without me, I will be attached to him. But yeah, I believe that my next chapter is going to be moving along those lines of communicating with a person with autism, learning how to elevate that person. That's what I wish to be and want to do here.
Yeah, I feel like in looking forward to your next season in life, it's going to be about, I think, of being less rigid and more fluid, like water.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's something that Ethan has taught me, is about being more fluid. Like I wake up before, with him, before he was here, having my routine, having my rigid, this is not rigid, but my structure, right?
Yes.
But being with him has taught me, like, I need to be like water.
There's no structure.
Sometimes, like, we create the structure we can, but
Yes.
when even in that structure, something might change, and we got to be okay to move to the left if we need to, And so I think in this next season of life for you, you can kind of take that overall arc for yourself and just think about, what? So many things are changing with me aging.
Yes.
I just got to be fluid. I just got to roll with the punches, and where we're going is where we're going.
Yes.
So I'm really grateful and can't thank you enough for just sharing your heart and your wisdom with us today. But before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or encouragements for people that might be facing similar transitions?
I would say, don't fight the feeling.
Don't stop.
Yes.
Believe it. I don't know why that popped in my head.
Because when we first started talking about, our futures and regarding me, I was not incorporating that I would not be physically capable. And that was only, like I said, a few years ago.
Right.
So I would say don't fight the feeling. Go, like you were talking about the fluidity, definitely go with the flow. Keep your heart young and open. Don't close it off. Don't give up. Don't stop because of things happening. But that would be my advice to anybody else that's having issues, or even those who are listening. Yeah. Ask questions and just keep it moving.
Yes. Thank you again, Mom, for being such an amazing guest, and even more an amazing mom. Your strength and your wisdom and your faith continue to inspire not just me, but everyone who has had the privilege of knowing you, honestly. For those of you,
How many children do I really truly have? A lot.
lots, right? She got a lot of quote unquote adopted kids. For those of you listening who want to continue this conversation or have questions for my mom, you can reach out to us on Instagram at the LRB Podcast. And don't forget, new episodes drop every Wednesday, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a single vibe like this one. That's all for today's episode of the Living Room Vibe Podcast, where real people have raw conversations. I'm your host, Danny Lourdes. Thanks for vibing with me. If you're feeling the vibe, follow us on Instagram at the LRV Podcast, as well as hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. It helps more people find their way to our living room. And as always, thanks for listening. Bye.